Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Arif and I welcome you all to the next session of the lecture series on internet working with Linux. In today's session we are going to talk about Ntp Server. Well, the network time protocol is used for synchronizing the clocks of computer systems over packet switched variable latency data networks. It works by contacting a number of servers around the world, asking them for the time and then calculating what the correct local time is from their responses. Before we install and configure our own Ntp service on our Ubuntu Server machine and use our Kali Linux and Windows 10 machine as client to synchronize their clocks with this Ntp server, let us first have a quick overview of how basic time management is done on Unix machines. Well, dear students, you all might be knowing that all Unix-based machines represent time internally as number of seconds passed since Unix epoch. And Unix epoch, as you know, is midnight 1st January 1970. All Linux kernels save these seconds in a 32-bit signed variable, thus posing a theoretical 2038 problem. Let us not go into its details and move on to our Kali terminal and check the date as well as the number of seconds passed since Unix epoch. So you can see the date and time as per the selected time zone, that is Pakistan, and you can also see the number of seconds passed since Unix epoch. Okay, let me see the man page of time from chapter 7. You can see there are two types of times, real time and the process time. Right now we are interested in the real time, and let me move down so that you can see the two types of clocks as well, the software clock and the hardware clock. You can read this man page whenever you want to and whenever you think there is something that is not covered in this session. And let me move on to the man page of RTC, real-time clock. Okay, dear students, as far as the hardware clock is concerned, it is also called the real-time clock or the BIOS clock or the CMOS clock. It is battery powered and keeps track of the time when the system is turned off as well. Actually, it is a chip on a PC's motherboard and is notoriously inaccurate, usually gaining or losing the same amount of time each day. On the contrary, the system clock or the software clock or the kernel clock is managed by a timer interrupt, and it actually maintains the number of seconds passed since Unix epoch. Okay, so we have seen the date command, which is used to display the system time. If you want to see the hardware time, you can use sudo hw clock command. So this is the hardware clock or the real-time clock, and let me display both. You can see they are not very much, they are very much synchronized, appears to be synchronized, but in many of the cases you may not see them very much synchronized over here. You can also use sudo hardware clock -c. With this option, the value of the two clocks will be displayed in front of you and will be updated every 10 seconds. Well, now you know about the software clock and the hardware clock, and you know how to display these the value inside these two clocks. If you want to change the time, let me quit. If you want to change time, you have to be root or a privileged user. You can use the date command to change the system clock time, the set option, and then you need to give the year, let's suppose 2000, and the month, let's suppose 10, and the date is, let's suppose 25. And if you want to change time as well, mention the hour, let's suppose 08, and the minutes, let's suppose 55, and the seconds, let's suppose 22. So if I press enter, the date and time of my system clock will be changed. Okay, if you want to change the hardware clock, you can use this command and this option and a date in front, and then you can mention again the year, the month, and the date, and maybe the hours, the minutes, and the seconds as well. Of course, you need to substitute the values over here. Okay. Now, if you are seeing that the two clocks are not synchronized, which are synchronized right now, you can always synchronize them. If you think your hardware clock is correct, you can synchronize your system clock as per your hardware clock by giving the command sudo hardware clock hc2 sys. So this will synchronize your system clock to hardware clock. But since most of the time the system clock is more synchronized, so you say sys to hc. So this option will make your hardware clock synchronized with your system clock. So right now you can see there is a difference of 0.37 seconds if I do enter, and if I check again, you can see they are synchronized, and now they are having a time difference of just 0.29 seconds. Anyway, once again, if you're stuck up doing something related to time, you can see the man page of hardware clock as well, man hwclock. Okay, so dear students, if before I move ahead and see how can we synchronize our system clock with some external time source like Ntp Server, let me touch upon the concept of time zones as well. Well, as you all know, that noon happens at different times in different parts of the world. Therefore, the world is divided into different time zones. Different countries and sometimes different regions within a single country work on different time zones. And the information about these time zones is kept in files which are located normally on most Linux machine in USR share zone info directory. Let me ls this. Every file in this directory contains information about time zones of a particular country or region. For example, if I want to see the time of the universal coordinated time, let me cat UTC. Oops. Well, a normal program like cat or less will not be able to read it. You need to use special programs like zdump. So you can use zdump to read the contents of this file, which shows you the universal coordinated time. And if I want to check the time of Pakistan, so the Pakistan must be there in the directory Asia and Karachi. So this is of course the time as per the time zone file, Asia and Karachi. Let me use the zdump command to see the standard time of India, that is Calcutta. So this is the time. You can see Pakistan standard time is 30 minutes behind Indian standard time. Well, if you want to change the time zone of your system, which is right now set to Pakistan, you can do that using the time date ctl command. Let me clear and let me use man time date ctl. So this controls the system date and time. Do read this man page. Okay, so let me use time date ctl and let me use the option list time zones. So this will list all the available time zones that are configured on my machine. Okay, so let me quit. Let me clear my screen. So if you want to change the time zone, you can use sudo time date ctl to, and you can say it's set time zone. Okay, sorry for the typo. Set time zone to Asia / Karachi. So if you do this, it will be set to Asia Karachi, and if you do Asia Calcutta, it will be set to Asia Calcutta, and if you do UTC over here, it will be set to UTC. Okay, so details you can see in my operating system course, in which we have talked about detailed about the times and the time zones. I think that much background about the time is enough. Let us start playing with our Ntp server. Excuse me. Well, as I have already said, that whenever a machine wants to synchronize its system clock, it can contact a number of servers around the world, asking them for the time and then calculating what the correct local time is from their responses. And this all works in a hierarchical fashion by passing time from one stratum to another. Well, stratum 0 serves as a reference clock and is the most accurate. Normally they are atomic clocks. Stratum 1 servers take their time from stratum 0 servers. Stratum 2 servers take their time from stratum 1, and so on to stratum 15. Okay, let me move on to the Ubuntu server machine, and let me say if config. So this is the IP 192.168.1.100. Let me run the time date ctl command over here simply, and when you run this command without arguments, this command displays both the system clock as well as the real-time clock. So you can see both the times over here. Similarly, over here you can see network time on is yes and Ntp synchronized is no. If Ntp synchronized is no, that means the time has not been synchronized yet. Over here I would like to mention that most Ubuntu server machine used time sync daemon instead of Ntp daemon. They use time sync daemon instead of Ntp daemon. The yes in front of the network time on means that system is using time sync D. So let me turn off this time sync D. Let me run it again. The time date ctl command, and you can see that network time on is yes. It is because it is using time sync daemon instead of Ntp daemon. So let me say it time date ctl set Ntp no. Oops. Set Ntp no, and let me run the time date ctl again. You can see the time network time on no. That means now it will use the Ntp daemon. So it is always better that you should choose one service, because I personally believe a man with one watch knows what time it is, but a man with two watches is never sure of it. Okay, let's install the Ntp server. apt-get install Ntp. Okay, please do not forget to do apt-get update before that, and let me use systemctl and start ntp.service. Let me check the status of this service. Well, it is running. Let me also do netstat -anu, and let me grep 123, because 123 is the port on which Ntp server listens. It is up and running, and let me use ntp-q-p command. Oops, ntp-q-p command. Well, this is a standard Ntp query program. It uses UDP protocol to connect to the Ntp servers. so it is somewhat unreliable, especially over large distances. -P option basically prints a list of peer servers known to this NTP server along with a summary of their states. So you can see a whole lot of information over here. The ST column is basically the stratum that indicates the accuracy. You can see stratum 16 over here, or you can see mainly the stratums that will be used are either 2 or 3. Stratum 2 servers will be more accurate as compared to 3. The other important column is the offset. Well, this is the difference between the remote and the local clocks. Okay, let me clear screen and let us see the NTP statistics using another command, that is ntp stat. Well, this is synchronized to NTP server at stratum 4, time correct to within 487 milliseconds, and it is polling this server every 64 seconds. Fine. Okay, the main configuration file of NTP is located in etc directory as usual, and the name is ntp.conf. Do read the main page of this file, and you can also view the contents of this file using less or vim, but let us keep the values as default and see if the service is running on Ubuntu server machine. Let's move on to the client machine and try to synchronize their clocks with our Ubuntu server. Okay, let me first move on to this Kali Linux. We want this we want to use the NTP client program over here to synchronize its system clock with Ubuntu server. So we need to install a client program. Let's do that. Sudo apt-get install ntp date. So this is a client NTP program. Sorry for the typos. Sudo. So this is the latest version. Let me do man ntp date. So a client program that polls NTP servers given as arguments to determine the correct time. Okay. Let us use NTP date to synchronize our Kali Linux system clock with one of the NTP servers managed by Ubuntu server. I can use sudo ntp date -d pool.ntp.org. So these are the standard servers. You can see we are transmitting and receiving time from various servers, and finally it will work on some algorithm and adjust the time. And if we want that, we should not do it with this server, rather we should do it with the server that is running on 192.168.1.100, that is the IP address of our Ubuntu server machine, and press enter. Now our Kali Linux machine is synchronizing with the NTP service running on Ubuntu server. Okay, fine. Let me clear. Let me say date. So this is the date and time, 30 seconds. Let me run date over here. You can see it is the same. We have been synchronized. Let us repeat this on Windows 10 machine as well. Let me move on to our Windows machine. Let me open the control panel. Okay, in the control panel we have date time window, and this is the date time. And over here let me move on to the internet time, and let me do change settings, and instead of the standard time server over here, let me write down the address of 192.168.1.100. This is the IP of the Ubuntu server machine which is running the NTP server. Let me try to update. If both these machines are connected, we will get a positive response. It is saying that please wait while Windows synchronizes with 192.168.1.100. Okay, it says an error has occurred. 192.168.1.100. Let me try it again. Probably uh, two machines. Okay, now it is synchronized. The clock was successfully synchronized with 192.168.1.100 at this time. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so that is all. Let me close today's session of time management by saying time is just like money. The less we have it, the more wisely we spend it. I hope today's session was informative for you all. If you have liked it, please subscribe my YouTube channel and share it with your friends. Happy learning and Allah Hafiz.